yet another edition of Peer Chat right here on Times Television. This is the program where we challenge young people's points of view by sharing our own. Remember, Peer Chat is here for peer pressure, but the good kind. And today we have a very exciting topic indeed. Oh, first of all, as always, you're with me, Elita Soko, and my colleague,
Gary Samati.
And today we have an exciting topic. We are talking about marriage. Is marriage an achievement? Kodi umuntu wekaza kuti wachita zonse mwemwako nkukwatira. Nekuti wafikapo unotsopano. Kapena ndinene kuti munthu wonekeza kuti wafikapo. Inene okhala kuti wakwatira. That is what we're discussing today. And to help us dissect this issue are a couple of the very esteemed guests indeed. We have Tapson Hara, welcome.
Thank you.
And Kylie Rana. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Maybe to set the ball rolling. Dingo for the question. Is marriage an achievement? We'll check the rounds. What do you say, Ayanke?
Jambira women.
Jambira Unogo? No, I don't think it is. Tapson.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start. Marriage itself has got its own stages.
Yeah.
But for it to be called an achievement, which means you have gone through some things. Then muntu kukhala what you actually does what you have achieved. As you said, first when muntu makhala when I school, which means you have achieved that school, you've got a degree.
Yeah.
The wapeza ntchito, you have achieved, you have started working. So when you say achieved to be married, it will now depend on two things. Firstly, I have achieved that I've got married.
Yeah.
Now, after getting married, marriage is a process now.
Okay.
So
I think
if
we're
that
getting
process,
deep
yeah.
Yeah.
The process goes, and you have managed to deal with the process, you have achieved. So I'll start it that way. As I pass it over to my friend, then I'll explain more.
Kylie. Is marriage an achievement?
Okay, to me, marriage is an achievement because I believe an achievement is something that you attain after some hard work or after spending your energy on it. You have to waste your skills. So at the end of the day, I take it as an achievement.
Interesting. Gary.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking marriage is not an achievement, but now I'm like thinking, could it, I think it depends on who you are. The same way to some people, school is not an achievement.
Yes.
If I believe that business is the way in life, I'm going to live my life like that. So if I'm 30 years old and I'm a billionaire, I'm going to feel like I've achieved, like I've accomplished my achievements.
Yeah.
If I have 100 million kwacha, that's an achievement, but then I'm going to feel like is 1 billion kwacha. Which is the same thing with marriage. There are some people, I know it might sound ridiculous, I'm a Vembeza kukwati. Like to them, life is about getting married at some point. Like sometimes even as early as 21, between 21 and 26.
It's like, I need to find that person. I need to get married.
Yeah, and I feel like it's Kwambile Asiga now. Like, who feel that way? Yeah, so to some people, to people like that, marriage can be an achievement. Yeah, I don't think it should be an achievement, but to some people it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let's now look at the general dynamics of life. For instance, maybe perception of marriage. When I got also would matter when it comes to you thinking of marriage as an achievement or not. So for you, Tapson, what makes you look at marriage and say, well, if I attain that, I will have achieved something big?
Okay. As I said, marriage is now a process.
Yeah.
I've achieved not what
Uh-huh.
it's an achievement.
Yeah,
You have achieved. It's not a simple job. And then you go into marriage. So for us, we've got parents as we are here, which means they did something. So to them, it's an achievement. To them, say, "Andamkuza bino mwana wanga, apa nopa ali ku school, is attending a higher education."
So children is one part of the achievement.
So actually, what I'm trying to take you to is that the process itself. If we can see at our parents, that some of us, makolo atu atayambana, you never know that ayambana. They'll go, they'll discuss, and then they come. But as you go, you start seeing those things. Today, something is not. So, in the process, if they're going to that extent, if they die, they leave something. But when dad and mom were alive, or when dad was alive, the way he used to treat his woman, or the way mom used to treat dad, and then you take that heart and for my next one, which means this will be so to them, which means they have achieved.
Yeah.
But if you end up in divorce, then there's no achievement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's one topic we'll come back to later.
So
Yeah.
marriage is an achievement, but depending to that.
So, in other words, the wedding is an achievement.
Yeah.
The wedding.
The wedding. That's
part.
You have achieved something.
Yeah.
At least you have got married.
Okay.
Kylie, let's look at marriage. Well, you said when you work hard for something and you reach a point where you what you want to
Yes.
that's when you feel, well, this is something I have achieved. Is this the same thing with marriage? Do you really have to work towards it and get something and say, yes, that's it out?
Yes, I'm still agreeing with what Thompson said.
Yeah.
Marriage is like a goal because until my school, we start from primary school, mpaka na kumaliza vile university kumaliza. And most of us, temalitika marimba zipsatuli after school nzabanga chaguti, after chaguti nzabanga chaguti. Ima bezaka zoti marriage jabe umaika kuti at this age, from this, I'm supposed to be married by this time. There, that's a goal. You're when you're living, you have that goal. And how you live in the society. So you have that goal. So that at a certain point in time, I want to be married. There, so that you reach that goal. Because so yeah, it's a goal. Not Commando and Hamville, it's a goal. At a certain point in time, because there is companionship in marriage. Yeah, at the end of the day, when you know go from work, you need companionship. Yeah.
Wow, okay. That's some convincing argument there.
Yeah, true.
No achievement.
No, in Elcom, I'm on the fence. I'm on either side because, as I said, I don't think it should be an achievement.
Yeah.
But I understand when people think it's an achievement. Now, I was just thinking, the way we date as young people.
Yeah.
Are young people these days dating for marriage?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Because we're saying, this is a goal, so to speak. Komano, is this a goal that most young people have these days? Is it from the way you see things, or maybe from experience? Komano, obviously from experience.
From
Nobody
experience,
you're going to say, yeah, that's the goal, that's the end game. Komano, let's look at young people in general. Are young people these days dating to say marriage is the end game?
Personally, I'm not dating to get married, per se. Like,
Gary, what's the But go on.
Okay, I want to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
We cannot say we were dating. I mean, fine, there's that fairy tale, whatever thing.
Yeah.
And it is, I want to get married to you, but like, you have, let's say, 4 years. Let's say you want to get married at 28 and you're 24. So you have 4 years to get married to somebody, and you're dating someone right now at 24. Are you sure in 2 years' time you're going to feel the same way? Or anything can happen in a relationship. Yeah, so I feel like it's also putting too much pressure on the same relationship. If I say I'm dating for marriage. So from my personal experience,
Okay. At the risk of, getting kicked to the curb.
whoever that is, I'm not saying anyone, but whoever that is, I'm sure we've talked about it if she exists.
Okay, fine. And Kylie?
I believe the main reason for dating should be marriage as a goal. Because I take dating as a foundation. It's a foundation. You start with dating. And before dating, I believe fancy wamaka friendship. Because your friends and then you go level your dating, and then you go cheap and stuff before marriage. Komano, our generation, the way I'm seeing my relationships out there, people are just dating for fun. And I'm not going to and after all, and all that. So, and I'm impressed and has also seen a solid in the name of dating to please your friend. So, the main aim for dating should be marriage,
Okay, ababa tugamba zokuti maybe peer pressure. Just, oh yeah, my friends are dating. Let me get in that. Is this how it's working?
Yeah, for the peer pressure, that's how most it's happening.
Yes.
But I'll add on what she has said to say marriage should really be we should really date for the purpose of marriage.
Yeah.
Because now let's just be realistic out here. If you're not dating for marriage, then what for? It's just a sexual relationship. Because for the purpose mainly of dating is that you know each other, you actually know each other. The courtship should be there. So as Gary said, say the example he gave of 24 years getting ready to get married at 28, that 4 years you will know somebody better. So if you know that someone, that's now you can give yourself a choice to say, I'll marry her, or I'll not. So if we can actually imagine that generation that has no purpose of getting married, what kind of life are you even proud of?
Also, to be fair, I've heard of people who have been dating for as long as 7 years, before getting married. So, Gary. It's not such a long time, I think.
It's not such a long time, yes. And I mean, it's like if you're going to date someone, I'm not also saying that I would want to meet the person I'm going to get married to at 28, because I cannot meet someone and then immediately try to. But like if I'm dating someone with that goal, like right now I'm 34, so if I'm dating someone with the goal of I should marry this girl, and then I see my traits of male, I do not want to see in her, to see in my possible future wife. Am I going to break up with her and then look for somebody else, and then if that doesn't happen, then I go again? Or, like, I just feel like I'm young and I can have my fun. I'm going to date until something bad happens to the relationship, then I break up with her. And then I move on to the next person. Mpakana, I should find the right person.
One.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, maybe that is the issue. That is the purpose of dating, right? You're looking for that particular person, and then you might end up spending the rest of your life with, isn't it? So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You date this one, maybe more, and this would never work out. We're not compatible here. And then you move on to the next one until maybe finally you reach that one person. Come on, there is this issue. There is nobody who is 100%. Sure. But many also want to say, no, this person, we're not compatible in this area. Aren't you running the risk? Aren't you setting yourself the trap of maybe trying to find somebody perfect who might or might not exist? Yeah, what do you think?
Someone told me to say a husband is not made, or a wife is not born, or a wife is not born, but you make that wife, you make that husband. Okay. So if you run away from that person who is not unique to you, which means you will still be going on looking and which you will not find. So for you, it's accept the difference.
Yes.
If you accept the difference, then you find a solution to say, how can we handle this? I've never been married before. I should say this, but with what I see and with the little studies, because I also want to get married, so I have to know. I have to know.
Study about relationships.
Yeah, I should actually know what will happen in marriage or what should I do in my relationship.
Yeah.
But I'll actually plead to say, pamene ukukamusiya kuti ukapeze wina musiye kuti anzako amene akuza mfuneyo azapezeso chabwino rather than kunena zoti umusiye so atachakajikaso that won't be good. Then the other one comes and then he or she's like, no, I think there's no love.
Damaged goods.
Yeah, at least if you're leaving her or him for another person,
That's true. Like I'd like to agree with that because I feel like relationships are about making each other better people.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you're making, okay, fine, I understand that as you people are putting it, you should date for marriage, yeah? So if I'm dating someone for marriage, then I need to build that person to the kind of wife that I would want in a girl. So if to say that I'm with a girl and then I should be bringing her down. So relationship you got her, and then she's a bad person, or guy, she's in trust issues, which is going to be a burden to the next boyfriend. Yeah. So I agree with that point.
Interesting stuff here.
I had another point.
Yes.
In also, I believe there is no perfection.
All right.
There is no one that is 100% perfect. So muntu ngadwangonda kunkondesesa, that is ndekuti you agree with the person zoti tizibanga izi. If you fail kumpanga convince muntu ndekuti you can let them go. You will libe mlandu. Yeah.
Also, I feel like as much as no one is perfect, muntu personally, you can have traits where you draw the line.
Yes.
Let's say you say, you know what, I want a girl to be loyal to me. Asama pezeko kuda things like that.
Obvious stuff. Yeah.
Two, you say maybe something that's not too obvious. You say she should, like, you want someone who will be able to support your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see fine, I need my characters and not that you should always break up with them, because I mean you break up with this person, then the next person has the same character and stuff. Yeah, so as much as we may have like to understand people and to also like accept you need to just make them better. You still need to have like somewhere where you draw the line. The standards. Yeah, basically.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. You're watching Peer Chat right here on Times Television. Kodi is getting married, an achievement. If yes, please send us your comments. If you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on TV, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at Times Peer Chat or on Twitter at Times Peer Chat, or you can get in touch with either me or Gary. Elita Soko, Gary Samati, either on Twitter or on Facebook. Now, dipendeno kunkania society. You know, society builds certain standards.
Yeah.
Expectations amongst us. Nkani ngati ya marriage generally, it comes from society. All the way biblically, maybe. Historically, it's known when umuntu akafika a certain age, they're expected to find somebody, a partner, with whom they'll spend the rest of their lives with. And in some cultures, it's monogamous. And in some cultures, it's, well, anything goes. Okay, one man and several wives and that type of thing. Komano, let's look at Ifeo as Ajinyamata from how we, from how we have grown up seeing things happen. I mean, we watch our families. Ifeo, obviously, we're coming from families, you know. How do those things shape us into believing, into answering this question to say, is marriage an achievement or not? How does my experiences and society influence how we think about marriage?
As far as the society is concerned, and we bring in religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I'm a Christian
Yeah.
and born in a Christian family.
Mm.
To Christianity, marriage should be an achievement.
All right.
Yeah.
It should be, not that you have to decide if that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because biblically,
Adam and Eve.
yeah, biblically, that's the beginning.
Yes.
And God says that the man can't be alone, so I
Yeah.
should give him a helpmate. So, which means I finish my school, I get my job, I've achieved in life that way. There's one thing that I have also to achieve, which is marriage. So if I get married, that means I've achieved the society, which means I've impressed the society, I've given the society what it needs. So I should get married.
But giving the society what it needs, shouldn't what you need matter most?
Yeah, actually, marriage is supposed to be a need. There's a lot coming in that I should say. So,
Yeah.
so I say marriage should really be a need, because if it's not a need, I just don't know. But firstly, let's look at what are the functions of marriage.
Yeah.
Because you get married and you're supposed to support economically,
Yes.
emotionally, all those things are supposed to be there, you see. So if you are doing all those things, which means you are actually bringing up a good society now, because your children also will have will have that mind to say, this is how we live, you see.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually with the society, that's how it's supposed to be. We are supposed to we should really get married.
But
Komano,
yeah, okay.
Komano, it's hard to please the society. Because muntu soma kandi zofuna zawe.
Yes.
Yeah. So, pale antiri makandi ma perspective sosiana siane. Komano ya, antama ngweni adi, akwalani marriage is important. Imagine if we na yesala na kaza indi makanizoda, marriage is not achievement. It's not an achievement. Ndio bwezi sibwezi antagwadilana, bwezi na yesa kungwendila yake. Ndio uri taru antu basi kuta. Nanga people are dying on daily basis, and then people are not getting married. Ndio uri anasama badwa. And to the tabazigo
Are you sure?
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me.
But then that's the issue of religion.
Yes.
But there are some people who don't believe in Okay, fine. Some people believe in it. A lot of people believe in could they find fornication, what it's a sin. My young people are still sleeping. Yeah, like young people are still having sex and stuff.
Young people are still having babies out of
Babies
wedlock.
out of wedlock.
So bereka now, what should you got? Even without marriage.
Even without marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, which also I feel like it's a factor of why some people don't get married and stuff. Because and when and like it just becomes harder to. I mean, for sometimes like for some girls it becomes harder to find marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will get back to my points later. I just wanted to correct that part.
So anyway, in end, I know this whole biblical issue, because Bible now in the New Testament there has been I forget, unfortunately, the particular sports and they bring in the issue of marriage being an option, particularly when somebody wants to dedicate their life to say they're serving God. There is that. Could marriage becomes an option?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 1 Corinthians 13.
Yes.
But
wow.
If we can, if we can actually look at what Paul was trying to say was, he actually also emphasized that it's not good that you should burn with the emotions or the feelings. So it's good that you get married.
Yeah.
Now the real point was Gary said to say, people are having sex out of marriage, which biblically is a sin, because that's premarital sex, which means you're fornicating. So, for you now to achieve the religious part, the religious command to say you should get married, you really have to get married because you want to run away from what is sin. So, as you are saying that it should be optional, it only can be optional if you say, I'm strong enough, I'll handle my feelings, I'll not do it. I will not fornicate.
Yeah.
But to be realistic, that needs that intimate relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have God in you, that's a lie.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, we're bringing in religion a lot
Yeah, a
now.
lot. But then, like, I don't know if it's right to say this. I mean, that sounds like we're looking at marriage as something to, okay, like we're looking at it as a way of we should get married so that we stop fornicating, so that we can legally now have sex.
Uh-huh.
So is that the purpose of marriage?
Is that the purpose of marriage?
One of the purposes. Not the purpose, but one of the purposes. Okay. I talked about financial, okay, you should uzimthandiza financially mzako
Yeah.
uje kapena ana komanso emotionally uzimthandiza ndeno muntu nthawi ija imabwerabe you have to feel to say now I should have sex with my partner. That will definitely happen. Ndiye ngati iweyo partner yo palibe sinzoti uzipita kunjako. But if you are married and you are a Christian, you have that person, I believe kuna zoti uzikhala ndika limit. Zoti ndavutika, I need to get these feelings out. Then you've got your partner. It happens. It's done. You are healed.
I am
I
think you raise a very important point for my position. You know, the reason I feel marriage is not an achievement is because of what I see happening to people who actually do get married.
Yeah.
We consider marriage to be this sacred. In Catholic, we call it a sacrament. But it's like it's a sacred union, you know. But you find not a lot of people respect the sacredness of that union. You see? You find a lot of people going outside of their marriages to now adultery. It's over. This is no longer no fornication. It becomes adultery.
Yes.
It's also there are issues you're supposed to respect each other. You find there is no respect amongst each other. Or we put up this front. Oh, everything is going on well. When behind the scenes you find everybody's going around and doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know? A lot of people have been raising kids who aren't their own in marriages and not knowing it because of how they do not hold sacred that particular thing. Now, at the end of the day, what is the point of going into this institution that is marriage when nobody seems to respect the sacredness of that institution? What is the point?
You know, when you asked Kudi, I mean, like you asked this question about what about the influences that the society, religion, and stuff has on marriage. I wanted to give that answer. Kudi, the way the families that we grew up in, or just the families that we witnessed, and stuff, that kind of puts a hold to us into deciding to get married. Because before you actually get to experience love, paweka, or the relationship, paweka, you've already experienced what it is like to other people. So before you date somebody, let's say at a young age, before you date somebody, before you have your own heartbreak, you've already heard stories about these issues from your best friend, from your sister. You've seen how it gets.
Yes.
So by the time you are able to date, you already know what cheaters are like. So before you start dating, a guy has approached you and stuff. Mangoyamba women dating, but then you already have all these trust issues within you. He hasn't done anything, but you already have all those trust issues.
Doubts.
Doubts. Just because you've seen it in movies, you've heard stories about other people and stuff like that. And then, which is the same thing with marriage. We've seen people get married and then get divorced. We've seen how brutal it gets.
Yeah.
Which then puts in an even bigger limitation, because I mean, dating is just something that you can easily get out of it. There is no issue of but then marriage, you're thinking, fine, if I get married to this person, you're also marrying into their family.
Yes.
You're marrying into, So 5-10 years later, or sometimes even a year, or 6 months sometimes, divorce. Za drama. It becomes a whole big issue.
Yes.
So I feel like experience, what we've seen in the society, what we've seen from people. I mean, even our friendships, what we hear from our friends. that puts that gives us a limitation into deciding whether to get married or not.
It definitely does. But what do you think now of all that?
I like the way you put the first point to say, you know that if you do have sexual intercourse out of marriage, it's what? It's fornication. You know, it's adultery. You said adultery.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Gary is also saying to say, we know all these things from other people. They tell us, which means we've got a little knowledge about it.
Yes.
So it's something that you have a little knowledge about, which means any circumstance that may come, you actually relate.
Yeah.
Now, as we said earlier on, you have the process of courtship. You see, so if you don't test that, kuti nzako ndopirira, nthawi imene mumamuzira munthu ndiyo ya courtship ichi. You see, so if your friend in courtship muja umaziwa zoti ayendi short temper, kapena sangapirire kukhala mwezi without sexual intercourse, zoti ndeti kakakhala zoti ineyo andituma kuchitipa iyeyo aliplanta tikugwira ntchito zikatheka koma kakupirirana. So in that process iwe uzikhala zoti you are knowing that friend of yours, kumziwa partner wako uja. So if you find the right person, or you guys know this is the right person, courtship muja mtadi tiyambe no kumamziwa nzanga uja pang'ono kamba mamziwa zoti kodi nda short temper. I'm just kidding.
Komano, whether it's dating, marriage, or relationships, I believe it's a risk you'd win a sata gudenge. Ngadwali manti manditu, it's a risk you'd win a sata gudenga. Whatever comes, mangweni na ujirani so ujivomeleze. For we have seen people when they date for less than a year, and then ukala for so long, and then people date courtship and stuff. When after years and years they get married, within a year what? So I believe
it's case sensitive. I'm at it. This is only everything applies to everybody. Now, courtship, is it? People say you don't spend enough time in courtship so that you know each other, you learn each other. Komano nkani kuzabwera bodi society. Until you reach a certain age, everybody expects you hey, Madam Sarah, what's up? You know?
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Because of that, I believe, the next person that you meet, you hope on that, and you paying a blind eye. Yes, paying a blind eye maybe to some of their shortfalls even, just because you think, no, this is my time. I need to get married. You know, nobody is perfect, and and you hope on that, and whoa, you're gone. And then. Really,
You know, I blame society and family for being family. Because even sometimes, like, regardless of whether you meet someone new or not, you were talking about courtship and stuff. Komano, let's say you've been dating someone for 4 years. Yeah, I'll give an example of 4 years because so I'm 24.
Yeah.
I'm dating somebody, and I'm 28. I'm still dating the same person. And then I've seen, like, this girl has bad characteristics. Like, but then I've spent 4 years with this person. And, like, there is that fear of, if the relationship ends, where am I going to go? I'm 28. Like, I have, let's say I'm usually at work, or I'm doing masters, there's always something that can, I mean, sometimes I feel like it's easier to meet people while you're young. Because, you know, like at school, you interact with a lot of people and stuff. But then the older you get, the tougher it seems to meet new people and all that. So it's like, there's like all those thoughts in people's heads. Where am I going to meet the next person? How am I sure that person is not going to be as bad as this person? So I'm 28 now, and I'm thinking, if I end this relationship with this girl, the next girl, am I going to date them for 2 years? Because let's say I have a limit of 30, could at least by 30, then I'm leaving this girl at 28. And then I should get another girl by what I dated them guy for 2 years. Like there's that fear. I might meet the right person maybe, but then there's that fear in people with him. I mean, and that's why people end up having bad relationships. So what is a Kalisa? Just cause we've been through a lot together, you know? Yeah,
so in establishing that
a new bond, yeah.
Yes, and also I feel like for guys, guilty conscience.
Yeah.
You think, Woody, I've wasted this girl's time. I've been dating them for so long, and then I decide, Woody, I break up with them. I mean, even the underlying causes of that breakup will come out and start blaming the guy to say, but you can't have wasted this girl's time for all this time. And particularly for girls, I'm saying girls because a lot of this pressure to get married falls mostly on us as my issues about the biological clock ticking, you know, and saying, what do you know, when you reach a certain age, it's like it's going to become more and more difficult for you to find somebody who you should spend the rest of your lives with. But at the end of the day, for you guys, when you start getting that guilty conscience, and you say, you know what, I'm just going to stick around anyway, you end up in a marriage that's going to be, you know, less than stellar. Well. It's going to be problematic.
Yeah.
Because for starters, you'll go in there with a feeling of resentment. You're doing the girl a favor. It's just, I didn't break up with you because I felt I would have wasted your time. It's like you did them a favor. At the end of the day, yes. At the end of the day, the resentment might end up growing and all that, which I think all comes back to society. Society. What did we ever do? Why do we have to build so much expectations?
Yeah. You know, sometimes I feel like the scenario, sometimes a guy has met a girl and in less than a year they get married. Sometimes I feel like that works because I know it might not make a lot of sense and maybe it's a bad idea as well. But then the way you might get to know someone's real character in like 2 years or something. Like, you know, that excitement when you've met a new girl, you're in a new relationship. So you're always trying not to make the same mistakes that you did in the past. So you're going to be closed off. Characters and then in a year you get married. Fine, a year is long. You get out there some things that you might not know. So it's like now you've gotten married and you're growing together as Mr. and Mrs. Like you're growing together in a way where it's hard for you guys to leave each other.
Yeah.
Which is different from relationships. You're growing together in a way where it's easy to leave that person because it's just a relationship. I know it gets hard. It's easier than someone that you're married to. So maybe that's why my relationships are for Maja. Maybe that's why they work.
Well, you know, I find it funny. We're discussing this, and none of us is married.
You know, experience these days. Experience through people, through movies and stuff.
Now, I think in the final segment, it's over, no? The yangane issue ya magos. Takamba kuti marriage is an achievement to some. To some, it isn't. But let's now look at goals in life generally, and maybe ultimately, we should come out thinking or being of the view that marriage should be that is like top tier or figapo iweyo. My goals are to from, you know, the way we live. What decides for us this is what I want to achieve? Maybe let's start with you, Tapsa.
I believe that most of the times when somebody wants to achieve something, it goes out first out of passion.
Yeah.
And then there's a role model that you actually desire, say, so if my passion firstly is to say I want to be a musician, I want to sing, which means my goals will go in line with that.
Yeah.
That I want to be interacting with people who are musicians and then
Yeah.
also become a musician. And then with that, then I also find a role model. Patience Namadingo is also a doctor, then I also be singing and then become a doctor too. So which means you're aligning those things,
Yeah.
in that way. So yeah, those goals are actually I'll say that that's how I'll align goals to my perception and my understanding.
And you, Kylie?
And I think Kwambili, it's family. Yeah, it's family because Kwambili mostly guides my parents, your relatives and friends. Ama wuzo zoni. Mzembikira skulu, mgamaliza skulu, mgaza kababu ino mzanani, mzawadili, and then you'll be settled. That's what they all say.
Yeah.
Kwambili. Then I believe in the goal yodi bebas. Mangweni no idan we achieve. Yeah. Komano suri itim. Gadi chintu jodi choka kamiza nai. Komano family ima nimene mabanga influence. Komanso the community ndimene mabanga influence Kwambili kuti anamalizado school amango kala oka they are not married.
Yeah.
Instead ali banchito they have everything chan. So ka pressure kamene kama jogera ku the society ngamene kama bangisa sozodi kagoa kako kasuna ndikadani ndikabange achieve basi.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah? Get her?
Yeah, well, that's true. Because I think, like most of us, you're fine. You might have an end goal, Kudiga, by the time you're 40, you need to be somewhere and stuff. But then most of us are thinking of what's next. Like, let's say you're in primary school. Fine, at primary school, it's too early. But then let's say you're in secondary school.
Yes.
You're thinking of finishing school, and you're like, for instance, and then like that time. I mean, even if you're someone who aspires to get married, you're going to know what fine whatever, but then your immediate goal is chanko. So after that, you finish college and you're like, you know what, I want to get a job. After a job, uzitamangisano zintu zina like fine, when you can multitask your goals. if you're a person looking to get married, you can, but then to some people, they would think, well, fine, let me get a job first. Then you get a job, and then you're thinking of the next thing. Then ugafigano like in a position where you feel like, well, you know what, now I can get married. Yeah, that's when you can try to achieve your goal of getting married. But as I keep saying, I just think it depends on who you are.
Yeah.
It just depends on who you are. To some, it's an achievement.
Yeah.
To some, like to me, I don't think it is. But I understand people who think it is.
But by the end of it all, you are planning to get married.
Yeah.
So you have achieved that marriage.
So it's a goal.
It's also, I know, like, let's say I'm 30 and I'm not married. I know what type of money for this. And also if I would, let's say I get a girl pregnant, that's another issue. I'm not married. Not with church, family and stuff. Yeah. So it's not that it's my goal. Like I know what I'm going to get married, but I know what would push me to get married faster is family pressure.
Yeah, family.
Yeah.
Which ultimately I think is wrong.
It is very wrong. Yeah,
because
it is.
in Andima, it's just ngari ka rebel trait again. Just because you expect this,
I won't do it.
I won't do it.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be something in the ubanga because somebody else out there expects me to do it.
Yeah.
If I minimum career, kamana, like a little kid, the more you tell them, ichi that's when you see them,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm a 4-year-old. Ultimately, that's what I think. It's like that whole pressure you get everywhere is what makes you in time is sort of close up and say, you know what? No.
I won't do this.
Let's keep this at the side. Komano maberwage, what I think is Muntu sets their own goals in life. For instance, you say, by the time that I'm 28, I want to have, say, a steady income.
Yeah.
And so you've set your goal. By the time you're 28, you want to have a steady income. When I get a steady income is when I want to get married. you know, that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
Now, ubezekeza ukuthi wafika 28 ija, you don't have a steady income. You see?
Yeah.
Now you'll think, just because I'm 28 and then the bank knows I'm marriage is a steady income ija. Because let's face it, Magoza, Mabanga said, most of the times they don't work out how we think they do.
Yeah.
So, it should be, we should learn to understand what everybody has their formula to things.
Yeah.
Nkaninga the marriage, somebody will get married at 35. Hey, that's them.
Yeah.
Leave it to them.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be able to, hey, man, but at 32, you're still out here being, you know.
Going to the club.
I think it shouldn't be like that. Let's take a round of final words each.
Yeah.
The ultimate question was, is marriage an achievement? What's the consensus? Yeah.
I'm still convinced, Kudi, I still stand by what I said.
Yeah.
To say, Kudi, marriage, okay, to me, honestly, fine, let me answer it in the way the question is, yes or no?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
Okay.
But if I'm to explain, I would explain, Kudi, to me, I'm saying that just because that's how I see it, but then I understand why someone else might think it's an achievement, depending on their goals. But personally, I don't think it's an achievement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kylie.
Okay, to me, I'm still on marriage is an achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because marriage, how should I put this? Marriage is a legal relationship between a husband and a wife, right? So, for you to come on that stage and humagwadilana, it takes a lot, as I've already said. I take it as an achievement. You have to work for it. You have to waste your energy, your money and stuff. Yeah, you're using your time, you're using your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an achievement. It's a goal that is supposed to be attained. Sure.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So marriage is still an achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah, chifukwa choti ngatwapanga plan kunena zoti ineyo ndifuna nzakwatire ndio wakwatiradi, which means you have actually achieved what you said.
Exactly.
So it's an achievement. But all in all, like at marriage, you should also know zoti muntu nzaka naye mwe wanga wose. So tikamasanga we should choose wisely. Yeah.
Ultimately, I think a person is no less because they are not married. So yes, marriage to some people will be an achievement. But if somebody decides they're not going to get married, that doesn't make them any less of a person.
Yeah.
That's just me. So, we
And
wrap up. Yeah, sure.
If marriage is an achievement, then divorce is a failed achievement.
Well then, obviously, that should be that should be the logic behind all this.
I even said that earlier on.
Okay.
If you divorce,
Yeah.
which means you have not achieved,
You have
because it's the
failed.
process now.
Yeah.
So ungasapanga divorce no zoti niyo mwakanika.
Yeah.
But if you go on mpaka oti mwafa, because tikuna zoti moyo wako wose.
Yes.
Nodi mukathela panjira simnakwanisa.
No one.
And that's where we leave it in today's edition of Peer Chat. We've had a very, very interesting chat on the issue of marriage. Is it an achievement or not? You can comment if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on TV. Do get in touch with us. We are Times Peer Chat on Facebook, at Times Peer Chat on Twitter, and Gary and I are on Facebook and Twitter too, Elita Soko or Gary Samati. Many thanks, Kylie and Tapson, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And just a heads up, soon we will be having a live audience, so you will be able to comment and give instant feedback.
Right in the studio.
Right in the studio.
Yeah.
We will be getting in touch with how that is going to work out. But for now, this is where we leave it in today's edition of Peer Chat. Be there again next week. You are with me, Elita Soko, and my colleague,
Gary Samati.
Until next time, goodbye.
Sound check. Kandi
sindingate ndibaseni chisindikiro chanu Ambuye. Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, ndibaseni chisindikiro chanu Ambuye. Sekulani maso anga kuti ndione, Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, ndibaseni chisindikiro chanu Ambuye. Sekulani maso anga kuti ndione, ndikupempha inu Mbuye munditsogolere, ndiyenda opanda inu ndidziwa Mbuye ndili chabe, ndibaseni chizindikiro chanu Ambuye. Sekulani maso anga kuti ndione, pena mwina ndifoka mundilimbikitse, mawu anu akale nyali kuti ndione, kuunika panjira yanga kuti sasochere, ndibaseni chizindikiro chanu Ambuye. Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, ndibaseni chizindikiro chanu Ambuye. Sekuleni maso anga kuti ndione, Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, Satana walikongoletsa chimo lionekana bwino, ndibaseni chizindikiro chanu Ambuye. Sekuleni maso anga kuti ndione.
mutetezelefe amene tikutumikila inu mkale nafe ababa pamene pafika zikoni tidalila inu Satana satijenjelele ife ndananu mutitatize kuti tipewe chimo munyengo zonse tizidusa tikumbukile inu tipaseni chizindikiro chanu Ambuye sekulani maso atu kuti tione
Satana Satana
imfa zina zimasiya anthu ndi mafunso opanda mayankho. Kummawa pa 10 June 2021 anthu anadzuka ndi mantha atamva kuti munthu wina wapezeka atafa pozimangirira mu malo omwera mowa kuderako.
Timakhulupirira kwambiri zotsatira zimene zimachokera ku chipatala, zimenezo ndi zimene zimathandiza kwambiri kuti tikhulupirire kuti chimene chachitika ndi chakuti. Apolisi anati malemuwa anachita kuzimangirira ngakhale kuti achibale akukayika.
$1,000 kwacha up ahead. You don't want to miss this. Times Comedy on Times Television. It's about time. It's about time.
Ateka no mashine aja tayambapo ana amuna amakhala utakataka. Inu ngati muli mwana wa muna simukutakataka yambapo. Nthawi zina timakhala tikunena kuti azimayi amakonda ndalama, azimayi amakonda ndalama, koma vuto ndionena kuti ife azibambo usafuna kutakataka kuumira. Ya ku saluni iyayi, ya chani iyayi, ya ku banki nkhonde iyayi. Mapeto wake azimayi amakonda ku ndalama kwambiri. Sikuti amakonda ndalama, ndi udindo wathu. Tizapasa ndalama azimayiwa, ndi udindo wathu. Tiye titaketake ana amuna, titaketake. Sabata latha ni makonza mashini atheka sopano newspaper yayambika. Ukuti kutani? Ukuti kuvina. Pali kanyimbo kasopano akaka. Panchito kumainyadilira chito. Chola B. Kuli mashini huko, kuli mashini. Tiendi vilize kufina. Chola pachade broka yake.
Angambira kuchita manda mama. Anaoptezeta iwowo mamidia. Pangani zakatemera. Umafuro nchia. Sautezedwe konse zakatemera. Uyu ndi wa bwino bwino. Kodi ndifunse ndiwo yamba uyu. Pangani zakatemera. Samotezanzanu zakatemera. Kutandiza abantu asire nazachipatala. Samotezanzanu zakatemera. Kutandiza abantu asire nazachipatala. Sasojere tanzanu sasa umoyo. Nkaniza mautenga asire nazachipatala. Sasojere tanzanu sasa umoyo. Kupunziza abantu asire nazachipatala. akadaulo otiwa bwino ntchito zonse za umoyo sangalole zoyipa kumati vuto nchiya mta Malawi tisaope titeteze moyo kalekalelo inalikonso mbiri anambira natetezeka ndikatembera lero vuto nchiyani pankhani zakatemera zakhala oyamba ndine kulandira katemera